Hi everybody, Armoured Pants here, and I have the next video for you in the new Czech line in the European Tech Tree, which is the TVP VTU, this Tier 8 medium tank. And this is a concept tank in that it was developed only in blueprints by Skoda in the 1950s, but never went into production. So as I welcome you back on channel, we will have a look at this tank. I have to say that I do like this Tier 8 medium tank, much preferred to the previous tank, which I didn't really like. I didn't think it was very good. And in actuality, the stats in this tank with its 105mm gun actually stack up. As we look at the tech details, we will see those, and it actually does come out as a good tank, both statistically and in gameplay. In terms of provisions, by the way, the provisions are wrong here on Blitzhanger, and these tanks just came back up on Blitzhanger. They were missing for a few days. The provisions to use are actually goulash, improved fuel, and of course smažák, the fried cheese, because je to výborně, je to fantasticky. Now, the 105mm gun is good. You have AP, APCR, and HE. AP is going to give you 225mm of pen, APCR 285, and HE 60. I use gun rammer on this so that the reload time is 8.4 seconds, but you may want to use calibrated shells to get that HE up, because the HE pen is actually pretty decent. What's interesting about this tank is its view range, right? If you have a look at it, its view range is 302 meters, right? So that's actually the best in its tier, because the RU251 is 302, and that's best in tier. So that means that this tank is going to be good at scouting, and we'll have a look at the scouting and spotting indices in a second. Now, its mobility index is 10.3, so this tank is pretty mobile, which is great, which is what you expect, and it's significantly improved upon the Tier 7, which we discussed has poor mobility due to its poor power-to-weight ratio and acceleration. The tank's muzzle velocity is 1170 meters per second with a P, so therefore it has gun handling index of 12.4, and that's even when using vertical stabilizer, not even without refined gun. So it's very good gun handling, which is excellent. It has a mobility index of 10.3, and that's down to the improved, so significantly better than the Tier 7, and that's down to its improved power to weight ratio and its top speed of 60 kilometers per hour, and its traverse speed on hard terrain of 60.9, which is very good. Now, what does all that mean? Well, it means its spotting index is 0.81, so it's pretty good, right? Very good. It's the same as an FE 103, a light tank at Tier 8, so that's really good. And its scouting index is 12.7. So basically this tank is going to be a good scout and a good spotter, right? So it's really good, and a lot of that is down to that 302 best in class view range. As we look here at the armor profile, you can see it has a bit of armor. You can side scrape in the tank, etc. It's a good looking tank as well. You can see obviously, you know, Czech engineers were and remain some of the best in the world, and you can see that in the development of this tank. If we look here, if we cut away to armor inspector, or have a look at the modules, because I think it's always useful. You can see where the driver is located on the bottom right of the tank as you look towards it. So that is where you want to, if you're playing against it, where you want to hit if you want to take out the driver. You can see though, unfortunately, it has a large ammo rack, and it's actually in 3 sections, right? So there's one in the turret, which is pretty big, and there's 2 on each side of the hull towards the front. So expect to be ammo racked in this thing quite a bit. So that is one weakness of it, right? And actually it has quite low armor numbers on the sides and on the side of the turret. So you can expect to be ammo racked by those big guns you're going to face in Tier 8, Tier 9. You can see here that the engine is quite well protected, very difficult to hit the engine. But the fuel tank is exposed at the back of the tank on both sides. So as we look here at the details, so you can see the engine is pretty well protected. Unlikely you're going to take too many hits to the engine, but what concerns me most is the ammo rack. You can see that the commander is quite well protected too, although if you can say hiding behind an ammo rack is protected. So I don't think you're going to get too many commander injuries, but driver injuries, yes, and ammo racks, yes, and being set on fire, yes. Unlikely you're going to have your engine blown or have your commander taken out. but I think ammo rack is enough, really, isn't it? Probably going to suffer more damage to the ammo rack, lucky it didn't explode type notifications, than actually having it explode. But please be aware that that is a risk, and it's exposed on both sides of the tank and on both the hull and the turret on the left hand side of the tank as you look forward to the tank. So as we look at the historical reference, we see that this tank was a concept tank, went into blueprints, but didn't go into production. So a real tank, both yes and no. But overall, when we look at the gun index, the mobility index, the spotting and scouting indices of this tank, it is a good tank, and it's a huge improvement on the tank before it, which quite frankly is kind of a bit crap, to be honest. Didn't really like that tank at all, which I made clear in the video for the various reasons. But this tank is better, and we're going to have a look at a mastery game here in the tank, and we'll have a look at all of those positive aspects of the tank in the gameplay. Its pen number is pretty good, by the way, and that also helps if it's up tiered. So in the games I played, it was up tiered a few times, obviously. You know, it can hold its own when it's up tiered, whereas the T-34 100 before really kind of struggles a bit when it's up tiered. Now, you can see here, well, I forget about me driving into the back of the map there where I was looking at the mini map, but generally, in terms of getting into position at the start of the map, this tank allows that, because it does have that good power to weight ratio, and it does have that good mobility reflected in the mobility index of 10.3. But what's really interesting about this tank is that what I really like about it is its spotting and scouting indices. Very, very good for a medium tank. Indeed, I would say it has light tank scouting and spotting indices. So that's really, really good. And you can see here, there's an AFK here, the AMX. You can see how easily it was for me to spot him, and how far away he was when I did spot him. I'm going to have a look here now at the HE in action. There we go. Big roll, 415 roll with the HE round, and I was able to pen him even front on. So you can see that this tank has really good gun handling and a really good gun. And you know, we get lucky here. I mean, this game is, in the end, it's a lot closer than it should have been, I have to say. Obviously, we got lucky with the AMX. If they had 7v7, maybe we might not have won this game, because their team did a quite good job in the end. Particularly their heavy tanks played well. We could see here, I'm going to switch up the HE again. You know, you can have confidence in the HE in this tank, and that gets us another kill, so we're into 3 kills already. And again, you see the combination here of the gun handling, the nice big alpha rolls from this, and the fact that it has a decent reload. Now, it has, you know, a reload which, for my mind, is a little bit too long for this 8.4 seconds, a little bit too long for a medium tanks. I prefer to have a smaller caliber gun and a faster reload. You know, I like my light and medium tanks to fire as rapidly as possible, because I think that's part of their job. But the fact that the gun handling is good on this, and also I guess with a 105mm top gun, you can't really have it firing too rapidly, right? And this kind of has similar reload to the Löwe, which has, of course, the same type of gun, same caliber gun. So I guess they need to balance it, right? And the gun handling is good, and you can see this game, it does allow you to do some nice damage. And the mobility of the tank, etc., does allow you to, as I get into a position here, to circle the VK. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle, and I'm going to go in behind here and get cover. I'm going to use the building as cover. There's too many obstacles really around, and the VK knows what he's doing in terms of backing up to get around them, so it can't be circle of death. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use actually the building that he's using to back up against, to actually make sure that he can't hit me, because I'm basically making sure decreasing his angles. Don't know what really happened there. Switch to APCR, fire defense from the side, just RNG, I guess, so that I don't get the 5th kill, so just miss out on Radley Walters medal. But you know, these things happen. So there you can see, guys, a pretty good demonstration of this tank in action. and a demonstration of its strengths, which are its gun handling, its mobility, its scouting and spotting, all in play. You can see almost 3.5k damage, 4 kills. So a decent game. Obviously a bit of luck with the AFK, but as we've said before, you always need a bit of luck to get that mastery badge. And in the end, the game was probably closer than it needs to be, and would have been a lot closer if the AMX had been in play. But I mean, when we're reviewing the tank, what we really want to look at is its key characteristics and how it handles on the battlefield. And we saw there good mobility, good gun handling, nice big alpha rolls, nice pen on the gun, and of course that scouting and spotting in action. So I like this tank, I have to say. It's my favorite so far in the line, and actually the good news is the tanks after are even better. So something to look forward to, and particularly rewarding after the patchy performance of the tank before T-34 100. So guys, I hope you found it useful, I hope you found it enjoyable, and now I guess all remains for me to say is, as always, pants off.